Well, hello, friends. It's that time of year again. We've changed all our clocks, and now with the time change, it's darker in the morning, it's darker in the evening, it's even a little bit darker in the afternoon. And that will continue to unfold as we progress towards the winter solstice. During this time of year, I know a lot of people struggle with the longer nights and the shorter days. But I think it's important that as we move through this season, and especially as we move into the season of Advent, which is perhaps the most intense part of this year, unless, of course, you live in the southern hemisphere where it's about to be summer. But here in the north, we have this intense experience of these shortening days. And I think it's really valuable for us to not rush towards wanting to just turn on all the lights and to push away the darkness as quickly as we can. Especially if we begin to associate darkness only with what troubles us, worries us, makes us afraid, and light with feeling safe. The reality is that there's a tremendous power in darkness. Darkness is where the seeds get planted until they grow in the springtime. Darkness is the womb of a child getting ready to be born. Darkness is the space that upholds our dreams, our visions, and indeed, darkness is finally what we encounter as we come to the end of our lives. We don't need to be afraid of that. Actually, if you think about it, the light brings us some pretty anxiety-provoking times, whether that's breaking news that troubles our hearts and souls, or the blinking light on one of our many devices that tells us something new, quick, pay attention. Or even just the steady glow of the TV screen if we're watching show after show after show, simply trying to distract ourselves from how we feel and how we really are. It's okay to embrace the darkness of this season as a holy time, a time that is full of potential, a time that is full of God's presence, and a space that is capable of producing and bringing to life something new and beautiful and good. So perhaps if you find yourself wrestling with what to do with the extra time in the dark, why not take extra time to pray this time of year? Why not take time to sit with the screens off, the devices off, maybe even the extra lights off? Get to know and become acquainted with the darkness. Become familiar with that space where God's voice might actually be more audible and where the presence of God might be more palpable. Next week normally would be the time that we would go to the New England Synod Convocation, a gathering of pastors and deacons from around the region. It's a time I usually enjoy. There's usually a great guest speaker, an opportunity for group worship, group meals, and some really wonderful fellowship time. But this is not the year for gathering 300 people together in the same hotel, especially from all over the region. Instead, next week I'll be taking a 3-day silent retreat, all by myself. And one of my key focuses during this time is going to be in deep conversation with the dark. It's going to get dark pretty early, and it will be dark in the morning. My hope is to make the best use I can of the daylight that's available to read, to reflect, to write, to work on my journals, to pray, to prepare for Advent. But then as the daylight fades, my hope is also to embrace the holiness of the darkness blanketing the land, to listen, to notice God's presence, and to find what is stirring, what is kicking, what is getting ready to be born in the beauty of that deep darkness. And there, in that space, to discover hope and joy, and perhaps that God is about to do something new. I hope you'll pray for me as I'm away on retreat. I'll certainly be praying for all of you. And I trust that in this time, you'll look for ways to find the holiness, even in the dark places that are surrounding us.